Welcome to Kentucky Horsepower, the official podcast of the Kentucky Automobile Dealers Association. Hi, good day, everyone. This is Jason Wilson, president of the Kentucky Auto Dealer Association. Welcome to another edition of Kentucky Horsepower, the official podcast of KADA. And joining me today is an old friend and someone that we've done a number of these with, and we've met in person and spoken in person. This is Kevin Tynan of Bloomberg Intelligence. He is the senior analyst of new vehicle and auto part manufacturing. So Kevin, good to see you, bud.
Yeah, good to see you again. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, we got of course, those of you coming to convention next month at the Omni Grove Park Inn in Asheville, North Carolina, which believe it or not, is coming up pretty quick here in a few weeks. So Kevin is one of our keynote speakers. We're very excited to have, and of course, Kevin and I were just chatting before we started this up that, gosh, we've been doing this a number of years now. Kevin, you started back when we were doing this in Virginia several years ago, and then we had, of course, we missed a little time with the pandemic stuff, but good to be back, right?
Yeah, it's great. I remember we've done them and all over the place too, right? Wasn't one year Orlando, and some got rained out, and then some got rained on, and so we've been through a lot over the years. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Well, what we thought we would do today is, Kevin and I, when we do these, typically we get in some pretty detailed conversations of the state of the industry, everything that's going on. But what I thought we'd take a little different approach, so as not to have him do his presentation today, because we're going to see it in a few weeks in Asheville, is sort of just talk a little bit in general terms as far as, Kevin, again, you've been doing this a while. What goes into your sort of mindset when you're getting ready to speak to a group of car dealers, knowing the things that they're going to be interested in, and taking all the things that you see from your perch in the world and being able to bring it to and deliver it in a way that resonates with the folks you're speaking with?
Yeah. So, with the presentations, and because I do cover pretty vertically across the auto space, right, from the parts suppliers to the manufacturers to the dealerships and retailers, and even do some aftermarket and retail auto parts. But ultimately, there's probably, in a good year, 3 or 4 real important themes, in a down year, maybe there's 1 or 2 things to talk about, but there's always something, right? There's an angle. And what I try and do in my presentations is, first of all, put that right up front, right? Your takeaway. And my philosophy is, hey, if the power goes out after 1 slide, you've gotten the important picture in your mind of what's going on in the space.
Right.
And this is really the first, and obviously because of the pandemic and we didn't get to do these in person, but, in a lot of cases, the presentation has its core 2 or 3 points. And then as I go through the year and I get invited to speak at different places, you'll take pieces out, put pieces in, and change things. But really I call it decorating the Christmas tree, right? The Christmas tree is the same, but how I decorate it might be a little bit different. And this is really the first time, really since the pandemic, where I think it's a new tree, so my presentation, which is ready to go, is different than what I've led off with in the past. That part of it is still important. And that was, talking about mix shift to truck from car and what that meant for automakers and what that meant for volume at dealerships and pricing and margin and all those things. That's still in there. But really, I think that the starting point, the takeaway, is very different now. It's something that I think automakers have been working towards for a long time, going back, to the bankruptcy period. And a lot of these things, these initiatives and strategies and these, this wish list is starting to come true in terms of pricing and in terms of margin, but that means something for the retailers as well. And that's what we'll talk about.
Good. Well, you make that point, early on when we started this, that, there might be a couple things to talk about. Some years there may be a few more than others. I can't think of a time where there are just more storylines going on, whether it's world events, whether things, disruptors, whether, talk about supply chain, just everything that's going on right now. It seems like this industry and others, the hair is on fire. You watch this stuff closely every day. What's your
and I gotta say, So, as many years as we've been doing this, and I've been watching the auto industry, coming on 25 years, and this is the most dynamic time. I mean, there's been over the years, I've been there through the dot-com bubble is when I really started in the late 90s. And then we go through 9/11 and Keep
Right.
America Rolling and all of that. And then we go through the global recession and the bankruptcy period. And those are obviously very, those are very impactful events in a very dynamic time. But, I think what the takeaway from this period right now is everything that automakers, and I say automakers specifically because in my mind, and you'll see this in the presentation, that's who's driving this train right now, is that, in terms of supply, in terms of pricing, right? That's really where it's coming from. This is utopia. This is what they've wanted for decades in terms of pricing power, in terms of margin strength. That means something, again, for the dealers and for total volume and market share numbers. So, and I was just having this conversation with a Bloomberg client right before we got on this call. The metrics are different, where if we look at a particular month of volume and see a big year-over-year drop and think like, oh my gosh, demand is over. It's right. And I'm saying, but you have to look at it in a different light now. These aren't the days of market share or volume for the sake of volume. Right. This is a period of doing more with less, right? This may be a world of, or a US market of 15 million and not trying to get to 18 million. But it's a more organic and healthy demand that we have now. And again, some of these statistics will be in the presentation, but where we had multiple vehicles on the ground per buyer, right, it's leveled out much more to a 1-to-1 or even below, fewer than one vehicle per buyer now. And it's not a condition that automakers hate, that I don't think they're in a big hurry to go back to 3 cars per buyer and then figure out how to sell them. So amazing time. And I have to say that I'm very happy, 25 years into this, that I can, really be excited about in a good way what's happening with the industry, and not like, oh, when are they going bankrupt, or, what are debt levels and all these, negative things that for so many years have swirled around the industry. So it's really a good time. It's a fun time, at this point in my career, to be able to look at things in this light.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I agree with you. I mean, I think you and I kind of came into this industry through very different pathways, but around the same time, where went from just as a young sales guy, being on the lot and just seeing these big trucks keep bringing cars in. So regardless of how many we sold the previous month, the lot were still full, right? And overfilled in some cases. They'd have to move to other places. Now it is just, to your point, doing more with so much less. And again, you talk to dealers I talk to, it has not been terrible. There's been frustrating parts of it, but overall they've done really well. And I think, to your point, when you deliver these presentations and have some great statistics and everything else, probably now more than ever, context really matters. It's not just that look year over year. Well, look at what's all the other things that are different from this year to the next or last year. That's really the big difference I see too.
Yeah, and I say this to people all the time, and it's completely the situation now, which is not every sale is a good sale, right? And we look at things, and the people that I speak to, look at things from the consumer's perspective, and the world forever, as long as we've been doing this, has been, hey, if I have demand for your product, I can name my price and you'll still sell it to me. Well, that doesn't make it a good sale. And that dynamic has really shifted now to where it's the manufacturer and the dealer that have the leverage, because they're not choking on a sea of inventory when you look out the lot. Right. And, the question is, one, how do manufacturers and dealerships right size to this world of, hey, look, we're not going to carry, 3 times the demand level, 80 days supply or whatever the number is.
Right.
So there's going to be some adjustment to the business model. Heck, it could be to the real estate that you own, down to that level. But there's going to be some adjustment. There's going to be adjustment for the manufacturers in terms of capacity, what happens there. But I think once the industry is right-sized in that way, this, to me, can be the auto industry, right? Like, gone are the days of 10% incentives and 6.5% discounts. And like when you go buy a gallon of milk, you pay the sticker price. That's what the industry is going to be. That the process is improved, where there's not this oversupply. The price is the price. The process is nice and easy.
Right.
You come in, you get your deal, you pick up your vehicle, or you configure your vehicle and pick it up, have it serviced, whatever you have. But it's a much leaner industry I see going forward, because there's so much benefit to the way the world is now.
Right. Well, and the other, it's sort of interesting, just what you said sort of got me thinking as you talk about this process of, because of the supply scenario and how that's working, again, a lot of it being driven by the manufacturers, consumers, if they want to get online, configure their vehicle and just kind of have that almost direct sale type experience that used to, a few years ago, everyone was saying that's how people want to buy vehicles. Well, this industry's evolved now, especially over the last couple of years, where even the traditional franchise system, they've changed and adjusted, and there's a number of consumers doing just that through franchises now. Yeah,
and look, I think again, we pay sticker basically everywhere. Maybe cars and houses are the only place where we negotiate a little bit. But again, if it's a matter where the consumer is going online and configuring and getting exactly what they want, to me, there's no reason to believe that they won't pay the asking price, right? Like, and people in my world are always pointing to Tesla model or Rivian, and I go, people love that model, no dealership. And I go, yeah, because you're paying sticker price, right? And I joke all the time, like, well, walk into any dealership, point to the window sticker and say, I'll give you that, or I'll give you over that. They'll sit you down, they'll go through your paperwork, they'll hand you the keys, and you'll be out of there, and you'll love the process. You'll think it's great, but everybody wants to go in and beat up the dealer, for what has averaged 6.5% off sticker price forever. And then when the dealer pushes back or tries to make it on the back end, then it's like, oh, the dealers, and it's just crazy. So I think if the process is to where you configure, you get exactly what you want for, you wait a couple of weeks or, month and a half, and it comes what you wanted. The process was online, paperwork, this, that, and the other thing, here's your keys, and we'll see you when you need to have tires rotated, brakes done, whatever it winds up being. So I think that world can and will exist, honestly.
Yeah. Well, look, you and I can go on forever. Like, when I get out, we're just a couple guys talking, and we can just go on and on with this stuff. But I don't want to. I want to save this, all the information you're going to be sharing with our folks here. And again, just to remind everybody, that'll be in Asheville. Kevin will speaking, and it'll be a joint session. It'll be Virginia and Kentucky that day on the morning of June 21st, which is a Tuesday, and that's our first full day in general session that we'll have. So we'll have you right out of the gate here, getting us fired off for a great convention. And of course, you'll be around there, so our folks are welcome to come up and say hello. I know you like interacting with the dealers and having these conversations.
Yeah, I like going early in the in the schedule, because I get there, nobody knows who I am, and then I speak and I raise some eyebrows, and then everybody wants to talk to me at dinner, So I like being early, because everybody's like searches me out and wants to talk about some stuff. So that works great for me.
All right, well, good, because we have you early. We'll have you ready to go, and looking forward to it. So, Kevin, thanks for joining me today. It's just a preview of what is to come, and to all of our folks that will be in Asheville here in a few weeks. We'll look forward to seeing you all and all of us together. And until then, we'll see you all down the road.
Thanks, Jason.